She's going to go after corporations that unfairly jack up prices. She's got detailed plans to work with local governments and the private sector to build 3 million new affordable homes all across America.
Yes,
and then help first-time home buyers with their down payments. She's going to give a tax cut to 100 million middle-class and working Americans, helping small businesses get started, helping first-time parents with the basic cost of having a child. Now let's talk about health care.
Yeah!
If you ask Donald Trump what he's going to do to make health care more affordable, he's got one answer, and that is repeal the Affordable Care Act. And he's not by himself. The other day, the Speaker of the House, the Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said there would be, quote, no Obamacare if Trump wins. Now, do not move. Now, neither of them can really explain why they want to end it, except for the fact that I did. The problem they have is, guess what? The Affordable Care Act works. Almost 50 million people have gotten health care because of it. Another 50 million have the security of insurance companies can't deny them coverage because of pre-existing conditions. The more people benefit, the more popular it has become. Which is why a couple of weeks ago, some of y'all saw this, Trump's running mate, Mr. Vance. Mr. Vance had the nerve to say Donald Trump, quote, salvaged the Affordable Care Act. What? What? Donald Trump spent his entire presidency trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act, trying to tear it down, and he couldn't even do that right. And now, 8 years after he was elected, he was asked, well, if you did repeal it, what would you replace it with? And he looked, and he kind of fumbled around, and they said, well, I've got concepts of the plan. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Let's say your boss gives you an assignment. Says, I need it by Friday. Friday rolls around. Your boss comes up to you, says, did you finish that project for me? You say, well, actually I haven't started. But I do have a concept of a plan. Or you can try it at home. Honey, did you do the dishes?
Yeah.
Grab the trash? I've been watching this football game. But I do have a concept of a plan. Can you do the dishes? How's that going over? Yeah, it's tough. If it would not work for you, why should it work for the President of the United States? The good news is, Kamala Harris doesn't have concepts of a plan, she has actual plans. To limit health care costs, to keep lowering prescription drug prices. And Kamala Harris understands the threat to women's health that is posed by the decision of Donald Trump's Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade.
Yes.
Since then, we have seen effective abortion bans in 20 states. Infant mortality rates have begun to tick up. Doctors are afraid to provide potential life-saving treatment to at-risk mothers. I've always said, I respect those who, for religious or ethical reasons, would not consider terminating their own pregnancy. But if nothing else, freedom must surely mean that women themselves get to make these profoundly intimate decisions.
That's right.
And that's why the Congress passes a bill to restore the reproductive freedom that women had for nearly 50 years. And the Congress was taken away. Kamala Harris was standing in the left. concepts of a plan, actual plans to make your lives better, to protect your freedoms. Now, whenever Donald Trump is challenged on his lack of plans, on the economy or healthcare or anything else, he will fall back on his favorite issue, and that is immigration. According to Trump, it does not matter what the issue is. Housing, crime, a lost pet. If you just let him round up whoever he wants, ship him out, all your problems will be solved. America will be great again. So let's talk about immigration for a second. A lot of folks have legitimate concerns about what's happening in our borders. It is critical that the next president work with Democrats and Republicans to make sure our borders are orderly and secure. We are a nation of immigrants. We are also a nation of laws. And we have to make sure that those two things work together. But, you know, whenever the issue of immigration comes up, Donald Trump likes to say it's Kamala Harris's fault. She's been vice president for 4 years. Why didn't she fix it?
Because she's vice president.
No, no. Wasn't Donald Trump president for 4 years?
Wow!
Why didn't he fix it?
Woo!
If climbing up and deporting millions of desperate people is the answer to everything, why was the number of undocumented immigrants basically the same when Donald Trump left office as when he took office? Think about that. I'll tell you why. Because Donald Trump doesn't have a real plan to solve immigration. He's got a concept of a plan, and it's a mean and ugly concept. You know what would actually bring order to the border and fix our immigration system? The bipartisan deal that Kamala Harris supported, even though it was written by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress, Donald Trump, on the verge of the vote, told Republicans not to vote for it. Because his mindset was, I want this issue to run on. I want to be able to fear-monger. That's how I'm going to win this election. That's how he was thinking. We do not need a president in Wisconsin who will make problems worse just to make their politics better. We need a president who cares about solving problems and making your life better. And that's what Kamala Harris will do. And to help her do it, she's going to need a Senate full of public servants like Tammy Bowles. Tammy spent her career fighting for things like good jobs, affordable health care, and medication, and personal freedom. She knows how to make a difference. She has proved she can make a difference. Remember how the Affordable Care Act lets young people stay on their parents' health care plan until they're 26? Tammy wrote that part of the bill. She knew it was important for Wisconsin families. That's the kind of workforce and not show horse that we need in Washington. That's the kind of person who's going to help get Trump in office and help Kamala get stuff done. Somebody who shares our values. Somebody who wants to move this country forward and not back. Yeah, she's really good. Tammy's legit. Now, there's one last thing I hear from undecided voters, and this, I'll be honest with you, may be the toughest answer. Toughest answer. They'll tell me that at the end of the day, from their perspective, politicians are all the same. They make empty promises, regardless of who ends up being the next president. It's not really going to make a difference in their lives. And I know you've heard that from friends, neighbors, co-workers. And I think we can all understand why people might feel that way. Now, if you live in a small town in rural Wisconsin, you saw the plant close down. Jobs get shipped overseas. And young people start moving away because they don't feel like they've got a fair shot at advancement. You're going to feel skeptical about government being able to bring about real change. If you live in a neighborhood in Milwaukee where gun violence and drug trade are a fact of life, parents are scared about their kids just getting to and from school, you're going to feel the same way. So if that's your perspective, I want to be honest. Politics, you're right, politics is not going to solve all of your problems. No matter how well-meaning a president might be, he or she is not going to get rid of poverty or eliminate racism in one term or two. No president's going to reverse every long-term economic trend. You can't make sure your boss doesn't act like a jerk, or make your kids listen to you. But what government can do is make your life a little better. A president who's serious and who cares about you can make it a little easier for you to afford a home, a little easier for you to pay for your medicine. Make it a little easier to send your kid to college or to get him an apprenticeship in a trade. And those small measures of improvement over time add up. And the flip side is a bad president, a president who does not see you, who does not care about you, can make your life a little bit harder. And that adds up too. When I was president, I did not solve all the problems of our healthcare system. But just this week, while I was visiting a campaign volunteer office in Maryland, 3 people separately, unprompted, came up and told me how the ACA had protected their families during a serious illness. One woman comes up and she says, "You saved my son's life."